It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Vera and Heather back again with another episode of I Can't Mom Today podcast. Hey, Vera.
Hey, Heather.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So polite.
I try.
Last week we talked about Mother's Day, and that got us talking about when you're a mom and you're single.
Yeah.
Which you experienced, and thankfully I haven't yet. And
hopefully never. Yeah. Not like it's that bad, but Rad is Brad, and we want you and Rad and
100
Brad and Baker to live happily ever after.
Yeah. Because I think about, you think about things like what would happen if, Brad wasn't here. And well, I hope you don't think about that, but I think that's pretty normal to think about when you're with somebody, like what would my life be like without this person?
Oh, yeah.
And it makes me super sad. So,
well, yeah. No, you don't have to visit that too deeply.
Yes. So, on that topic, tell us about your experience with being a single mom and dating.
Yeah. So that's what we were thinking. I was thinking because every situation's a little different, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a single mom, but for me, I just had I just had Luke, and he was really little. And I mean, I was single up until I married Jer Bear, which was Luke was 6 when we got married. So up until the time
God.
Yeah. But Jer Bear and I started dating when Luke was 3.
Wow. It doesn't feel like that.
I know. Time flies, right?
I thought he was much older. I thought he was like 12.
Nope. He was 6.
Okay.
We've been married. It'll be 9 years. Yeah. So maybe he was 7. But anyway, somewhere around there. He was in 1st grade. Hadn't lost all his teeth yet. Hadn't lost any teeth yet. Hadn't lost all his teeth yet. Anyway, what happened is in the beginning, right after I had Luke, he was just a baby. So I dated around and just kind of did my thing when I could. And because he was a baby, he didn't know. It was interesting because the guys that I dated definitely knew that I had this baby. And some of them I felt like they were more interested in Luke than they were in me,
Interesting.
Which was interesting. I mean, they just loved him and they loved being around the baby and, let's take care of the baby. And wouldn't it be great if we had a baby? I'm like, well, don't slow down, dude. I just had a baby and we've only been dating for a few months. Like, slow down. I know I'm great and all, but come on. Huh. And, yeah. So then when Luke was probably about, I don't know, about a year old, somewhere around there, I was like, okay, I need to start getting serious. So I went on Match.com. And met a guy, remember Mashed Potato?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Our girlfriend nicknamed him Mashed Potato because she's like, he's just kind of mashed potato-y. Not necessarily physically. I mean, he wasn't like super buff or super fluffy, but he was kind of stocky, but it was his personality.
No, he was dumpy. Stocky, I feel like is a little, I feel like it's a different thing. He's dumpy.
He was dumpy. Well, and the reason that we can bash him is because he ended up being a huge turd after we broke up. He asked out one of my best friends. So if you're listening, don't think that we're being all catty and mean because he ended up being a huge turd.
Yeah.
So Mashed Potato. He earned Mashed Potato. So Mashed Potato and I dated for about 9 months, I think, and then broke up. And then he asked out one of my best friends and she was like, ew. And I was like, thanks, but tell him to pound sand. And so that was the end of him. So then after that, I dated one other guy, and then we started getting in the 2-year-old-ish phase with Luke, and he started to become aware of people who are around,
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, you know what? I don't want to be one of those single moms that has the revolving door of men, here's Uncle so-and-so, here's Uncle so-and-so, here's Uncle, So I didn't want people coming in and out of his life and confusing him. So I decided, you know what? I'm just going to stop dating. Hang out with my single friends when I can or whatever, have play dates, just focus on him. And if somebody comes along, they come along. Well, guess who comes along? Jer Bear.
Mm-hmm.
So Jer Bear and I start dating. But then by that time, Luke was probably around 3. And I didn't want to introduce him to the Jer Bear too quickly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want him to get attached and I didn't want him to get confused. So I just slowly, like, Jer Bear just happened to be around when other people were around, and be like, well, here's Uncle Jerry.
Stop. You never said
I didn't say Uncle Jerry.
I was like,
I was
no.
joking. I called him Mr. Jerry, but that's like the proper time. You know, in the South, we do Mr. and Miss. So it was the proper, you call an adult Mr. or Miss.
Mm-hmm.
So he was Mr. Jerry. And then I just slowly started doing more and more things, the three of us. But I did a lot of things in like group settings where Mr. Jerry just happened to show up. So then he would get comfortable around Mr. Jerry and know.
And there was
Mr.
a
Jerry
broom closet.
There was a broom closet?
Mm-hmm.
Broom closet. Am I not remembering something?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just kidding.
So anyway, listen to you with the Beavis and Butthead laugh. So then eventually when I got Mr. Jerry to finally commit, Mr. Jerry, and to be more serious, then it was okay. And then, he was around all the time. And then we got married again. So you do the math, 3 or 4 years later, when we got engaged and all that stuff, obviously Lucas was able to drop the Mr. It's not Mr. Jerry anymore. He's just Jerry. Mm-hmm. And we got married, and that's all she wrote. But I was really big on that because I would watch some of my friends where they'd have boyfriends and then they'd introduce them to their kid. And I just always felt like, it's too quick, like, oh, you sure you want to introduce them? Because then it confuses the kid. It confuses the guy because the guy gets attached too,
Yeah.
So that was always my thinking. But of course, I'm not always right. It's like, again, like we always say, everybody's a little bit different and the situations are different. And you don't know what works for one person may not work for another.
Yeah, definitely.
So I did find an article from Huffington Post about like top 5 things to be aware of when you're dating as a single parent.
Wait.
Heads. Yes.
Did you have a conversation with Luke's dad before? And you guys were never married, so right. it might be a little bit different for people that maybe had been together for 10 years or 15 years and then like
Luke's dad and I dated for a short period of time.
So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that more so the people that have been married for an extended amount of time, kids are 7 or 8, things like that. They might have a different conversation than someone that was only together for a year or 2,
Right. So. Right. No, that's true. And I did think that things like that come up. Yeah. You got to say, like, the other parent might say, well, I don't like you bringing so-and-so around my kids. Mm-hmm. I know that comes up as an issue. That was never really an issue, not with the parents, with Luke's father, but he never really got involved much in my dating life. Like, it wasn't really an issue.
That's good. But at the same time, having a respectful conversation between parents, and that's, I think, hard too, is having that respectful conversation, because while it's not your life, it affects the child that you guys share.
Right.
So navigating that and getting information from maybe a professional or friends that have successfully navigated it. But again, their life is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, this cough is killing me. Sorry.
That's okay.
Ugh. Have you ever seen the show Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce?
No, I've always wanted to watch it. Is it good?
It's good. There are some good things and bad things about it. But yeah, it's a good show.
Well, that's what, my addiction to Teen Mom too.
Yes.
And watching them navigating being the single parent. And most recently, what's her face? Leanne broke up with her boyfriend. Jason. Leah.
You obviously aren't that great of a fan.
I am. I always forget their names. Well, because they always put the names up on the screen. So that's how I know that what their names are. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Leah. I have to remember it. Well, the one with the really long hair and the... Yeah. So... Well, no, that doesn't narrow it down either because Chelsea has really long hair. But anyway, who I'm talking about.
If you checked out her Instagram.
Oh, excuse me. But yeah, her navigating that whole thing with Jason, that actually was one of the things that made me think of that too, because they
both had kids.
Yeah. And his kids were never on camera from what I remember. But she had her 3 daughters had to spend time at his house because her house flooded.
Yep.
And at one point, her daughters were all excited, like, we in a different house, and they were having fun. And then after a little while, they were like, we don't like him. Did you see that episode?
I did. I'm up to par. I saw the thermometer we talked about earlier.
That's right. In an earlier podcast. Yeah.
After that podcast.
So, and she ended up breaking up with him. I think what I read between the lines was that he had a different parenting style than she did, that he was a little more
strict. But I think he's military. Who was the past military?
I'm not sure.
I feel like he was.
Okay.
But I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
So I think he had a heavier hand than she did.
Well, but she did, like, going back to what you were saying, she did have a talk with
Jeremy,
her ex.
And
about
Corey.
That's it. So you can remember the names. What's their faces?
I've been watching them for over a decade.
Me too. I've been watching them too. I just can never remember all their names. So yeah, so she had a conversation with them, like, just so you know, and things are getting a little more serious and whatever. I think that was cool. It was very respectful of her to let them know.
Yes.
I guess.
But it's also taken them years to get to that point.
That's true. Very true. Because they had some tumultuous times.
A lot.
So that made me think about it too. And then if you do watch the show, or any other show involving single moms, really, it's just every situation can be so very different.
Yes.
So I didn't have that issue personally. But again, I tried to be very careful and respectful of everybody involved. But you could have an ex too who's just a turd and who says, I don't want my kid around, no matter who it is. They could be a total perfect person and they give you a hard time. So hopefully you don't have that issue. Yes. But some people do, unfortunately.
Do you want to get some of your do's and don'ts?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So my list of 5, this is from the Huffington Post. And it's 5 things basically to keep in mind when you're single parent dating and introducing your kids to your significant other. The first thing is no expectations. It says make it casual. And you can't force anyone to like anyone. I was really big on that because my stomach would turn when I'd watch some of my friends go, oh, it's Uncle so-and-so and isn't he great? And go kiss Uncle so-and-so. And on 90 Day Fiancé, you ever watch that one?
Nope.
Okay. Well, 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days, there's a girl, again, I can't remember anybody's name, but she's trying to marry a guy from Morocco and she's a single mom and she has her daughter calling the guy in Morocco daddy. And I'm like,
after 30 or after 90 days?
Not even. She was internet dating him for the longest and then finally went to go see him. And then via FaceTime has her daughter, her little daughter, who's 2, calling him daddy.
Oof.
Yeah. So this is, you can't force anyone to like anyone. Telling your children they have to be nice or like someone is a surefire way to ruin the meeting. Let everyone meet and form their own opinions. Mm-hmm. Again, no pressure. I like that. And then it says group setting. So have the first 5 meetings in a group setting. Get glasses, Vera. So for instance, like a backyard barbecue with friends and your new man. You introduce him as a friend, give your children the chance to get to know him in a fun, relaxed, no pressure atmosphere. And that group setting, again, makes the children feel less pressured and non-threatened. Mm-hmm. And that they say that for the first 5 meetings in case you need a parameter. Again, I think you should use your instincts and just be very sensitive to how your children are feeling. And even your significant other, he might be kind of like, whoa, and slow down. Or he might say speed up. But then if your kids are not comfortable around him yet, take your time with it. Because if it's something that you really want to last, you don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
The third one was go slowly. That brings me to the third one. So it says, remember, you might be in love, but your children need time to get used to a new situation. Follow their cues. If you sense they're having issues, talk to them. Slow down if you have to. So it just said what I already said because I'm a genius. And the fourth one, one mom, one dad. Reassure your children that they only have one mom and one dad. No one will replace either of you. And, telling your children a few months after you introduce your boyfriend to them or your significant other, the pressure is off basically. And so it kind of goes back to some of the other ones, but nobody's going to replace them. This is just an added person, someone who can enrich your life, and which is kind of the way I try to put it with Luke too. I say, hey, here's somebody else who can help you. If your dad doesn't have an answer, maybe Jerry does,
Yes.
And then the last one is rules for the new family. And it says, as you begin to settle in together as a new group, it's important for you to discuss how it plays out with your new partner. Have a long talk about expectations, discipline, brings us back to Teen Mom too, money, education, and anything else you might deal with. It's a big deal merging families. You want your children to be happy in this new environment. So that's obviously as you get towards the end of the courtship with the significant other and the children. But there's so many things I think that people don't actually talk about ahead of time, like money and discipline and all that. And they just figure, oh, it's going to work out. And the next thing you know, you end up in the situation where it's a big hot mess and you don't want to end up there. It's much better to talk about it first. Like, how would you deal if my kid did X, Y, Z? How would you feel we need to discipline him or her?
Yeah.
Or are you comfortable? Do we use some of the family finances to finance my kid's car, or do you expect me to do it all myself? Things like that. It's uncomfortable, but it's way better to talk about it ahead of time and know what you're dealing with and know that your philosophies are the same if you're going to actually blend the families.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of thing that'll make you nauseous thinking about talking about it for sure. At least for me anyway. But once you do it, you're like, oh, okay, I did it.
I just can't. I know for myself when I was a kid and my parents started dating, I just didn't like any of them. I was like, nope.
Is that because you were being you, or is it because they weren't?
Yeah, obviously.
Heather, be negative. Heather's never negative.
No, I just didn't. I didn't like new people, and I think it was kind of one of those things that I have a dad, I have a mom.
I don't need any of these other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, my parents split up when I was like 15 or 16. And it's still kind of ironic, though, because both of my step-parents, whom I love dearly and I really lucked out, neither of them have children. And that makes things so much less complicated, because my sister and I don't have to deal with step-siblings at all. Even though we were adults when everybody got remarried, there's still issues even with adult children. And so that I don't know if my parents planned that out or were seeking that out, but it worked out really well.
Yeah.
Because it could be a mess.
It can definitely get sticky. Like my dad's remarried and she has a son that is a little bit younger than me, like 4 or 5 years, so not too much. He lives in California. I live in Colorado, and my sister lives in Florida. It makes it really interesting because they're going to see him. So they're leaving tomorrow to go see him. It just makes it different because this is a family that I don't know. I know the son. We're close, but she has family that's in England, and so they've gone to see them twice in the last year or something, and then they're going to see him. I'm like, hey, don't forget you have a family too.
Yeah. Well, because your dad everybody has to split the time up between all the different family members. Yeah. Especially when everybody lives in all these different places.
Like they're just going to see him for a weekend. They'll see us for a week at some point, or, a handful of days. But then when they go to England, it's a week plus. So, and we don't have very many, they don't have as many days off as they would like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be a kid of a step parent.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can't imagine being a step parent. Yeah.
I'm a step parent, and that ain't easy either, because I didn't become a step parent until my stepson was
almost an adult. Like he was 16, wasn't he?
He was like 16 or 17 when we started dating. And then I guess when we got married, I think he must have been in his early 20s. So he's already an adult, but there's still issues like his old truck sitting in my driveway still. But, but yeah, there are things like as a step parent, especially since I haven't been around since he was little, that I'm not as close with him as I would be, assuming.
Otherwise, Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't feel like it's my place to say certain things to him.
And he's not a super outgoing person either. So he's not going to be someone that.
It takes him a little while to warm up.
Yeah.
So it's, being a step parent is no joke, man.
Yes.
It's not easy.
I found some tips on do's and don'ts on care.com about what to do and what not to do. And I'm just going to highlight a couple that they say differently from not differently, but in addition, I guess. Know yourself and your needs. So know why you're dating, whether it's just to have fun, to meet new people, a potential relationship, whatever it is, know what you want as opposed to going in it just saying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, well, that's the thing. You gotta, as a parent, you really gotta do things a little bit more pointedly.
Yes.
Because you got another person's feelings to think about.
Yes.
So, that's just part of being a mom.
And one is wait to tell. And I don't really care for that one. So they're saying this person said, I don't think that you have to tell a potential boyfriend or girlfriend you're a single parent right away. And I feel like I would be super bummed if somebody didn't tell me about children.
Yeah.
Right away, only because I think that at this point at this age in my life, I know that majority of people that I go out, that are in a dating pool, not that I'm going out there dating, but in a dating pool would be single dads. But 10 years ago, I would have been really angry if I would have gotten to know somebody and gone on a few dates with them. And then they're like, hey, I have a kid. And you're like, cool. Because I was not in the mindset of I would have kids 10 years ago.
Right. Like it's different if you just meet someone like, and you're like, oh, hey, here's my number. Give me a call or text me or whatever you're doing dating app wise. When you first meet someone, quickly, I could see not saying anything. But when you're on an official date and you're sitting down and talking,
yes,
I would say,
you would have it come up.
Yeah. Because,
yeah, exactly. Not like, hey, here's my number. Give me a call.
And I have a kid.
Yeah. By the way, I'm a single dad of 2. Woo!
Yeah. You like changing diapers, right? Yes, sweet. We'll be great together.
We're going through potty training.
Come on over. We'll all do it together.
Bond. But you have to go to the bathroom with him.
Yeah. Now, if you can pee on the Cheerios, then we'll go on another date.
Yes. And don't force it. Don't make everyone the one.
Oh, yes. Well, see, that's what I tried to do with mashed potato. In hindsight, I am so flippin' glad that I didn't end up with mashed potato. But I was trying to make it work because I thought, well, I need to settle down, have a family, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, because I think you still have this, especially when your children are little and you're single, you're thinking, well, I should create a nest. I should have the significant other. At least that's the way I felt. And so I think I was trying to put a square peg in a round hole with him and thank God, or mashed potato peg. And, it just didn't, thank goodness. I mean, oy.
I agree. I very much so agree.
Yes, we'll have to do a podcast one day of monumental breakups. Maybe it's just this one is for anybody, even if you're not a mom, because it was yeah.
So the takeaways are: be yourself, be open to different experiences, have fun, enjoy it. Be safe. Make sure you're having conversation. Make sure you're having conversations.
Yeah.
Make sure you're having conversations with the other parent that's involved with this child.
Once it gets serious, but take your time.
But even before you start dating, maybe have a conversation with that other parent and say, hey, so here are the ground rules let's set some ground rules for dating and what that looks like for us, not dictating what you're doing with your life, but what the timeline looks like,
Yeah. I mean, I think to some degree you'd have to approach that really carefully. But again, it also depends on what your custody agreement is. Like in Florida, a lot of families are going to literally 1 week on, 1 week off, and no matter what. That's the way the courts are doing it in Florida.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, a lot of people are ending up in that situation. So, it's not like every other weekend. If it's every other weekend, but if you know that your kids are going to be at their dad's every other week and he's got different hoe bags hanging out, it's kind of like, wait a minute here. Can you choose one at least just so there's some consistency?
Well, and you can, but the thing is, you can set those ground rules. You do have to tiptoe, I guess, a little bit in the circumstance, but I think, to be, as long as you set the tone right and you're saying it not because you're dating somebody and you're like, I have this guy, but and not saying you date too many people or whatever.
You could approach it. Let's be sensitive to the kids. Approach it like, let's be sensitive to the kids and how they feel. And I'm willing to do that if you are. And what do you think that looks like, being sensitive to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that Jim has, a connection issues or not issues. I don't know what to say. Jim has some, he gets very attached to things very easily. Look at what he did to his stuffed bunny.
Right.
So I think that maybe even using an example so that they know that it really is about the kids.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I could care less on who you're with. I just want to make sure the kids are happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And hopefully everybody can agree on that. Co-parent.
I know.
Co-parenting.
It's got to be difficult because I know co-parenting just in the same house is difficult.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, for sure.
I don't want Baker to watch TV right when he wakes up.
Yeah. Oh, I sense it. I smell it. Is that an issue? Ooh.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That's our little non-official 2 cents.
Yes.
Input from care.com and Huffington Post.
Just be smart about it, guys.
And love your babies.
Yes. And if you have any tips for other parents out there dating, things that you've experienced or that you've walked through,
or you think would work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or tried and true, you've tried it.
Yeah.
Then hit us up at I Can't Mom Today podcast at gmail.com, Facebook, I Can't Mom Today, and on Instagram, I Can't Mom Today podcast.
Cool.
All right. Until next time, hit us up. Bye. Bye.